Hi everyone, and welcome to another APAC Android Developer Office Hours. So this is the type of show where you basically join on and ask us Android development questions. What we do is we post the moderator link ahead of time, so that you can post your questions ahead of time as well. And once you do so, then we come online and we answer them. The other thing is that you can actually ask your questions live on the stream as well. So please do join us, and we can answer your Android development related questions. So let me just introduce my colleague, Tony Chan.
Hello.
Tony's joining us from Hong Kong, as usual. And my name is Anka Cotwell, and I'm joining you from Sydney, Australia. So Tony and I are in the Android Developer Relations team, and here to answer your questions. We have some people joining in terms of the number of viewers on the stream, so welcome to everyone following there. We have a number of questions that have been submitted, but I made a mistake this week, and that I made the moderator expire a little bit early, so people weren't able to get their questions in. So if you're tuning in now, or you haven't asked your questions yet, now's a good time to do so. What we'll do is we'll start off by answering questions during that are already posted, and we will do a refresh the thread and just see if there's any other questions that have been asked in the meanwhile. So let's get started. We're on the moderator link. I'll read out the question, and then we can answer them. First question is it's from Owen Cassidy in Sydney, Australia. Actually, Tony, would you like to read this one out and answer it?
Sure. So the question was, I have been trying to use the new big content view for notification in Jelly Bean. Is there a way to make my big content view a normal notification with an extension below it? I keep ending up with it replacing the entire notification with my my remote views. So which notification is something new, and so my understanding with your from your question is your existing content view, which is the remote view, is replaced by the big content view, right? I think in terms when we use the big content view for notification, it's really switching between the normal content view and the big content view. If you expand the view, it will be replaced by the big content view. So seems like you want to preserve the existing content in when you show the normal one unit view. In that case, like I would say, maybe you have to use the same the one UI actually adding into your big content view if that's what you want. So if we misunderstood your question, feel free to add some kind of clarification in the stream, in the G+ stream. So.
Great, thanks, Tony.
Yep.
All right, so Fung Lam from Hong Kong has a question for us. Would you give us a suggestion on when to use the Google Maps Android API, web views showing a page using the Google Maps JavaScript API v3, or using intents to call with the URL of geo:. Map activity does not support fragments, web view is slow, and intent calls have limited function. So that's a really good question, Fung. Basically, there are a number of ways that you can integrate and use maps in your own app. You know, the three that you mentioned, the Maps API, using a web view and using the JavaScript API, and the intents are a good summary of the ways you can interact with them. You also went on to point out that that the current map view on Android doesn't actually it doesn't work very well with fragments. You have to use something that's called a map activity, and with a map activity, you can only have one map per process, and it's part of your activity itself. Sorry, just before I continue, hi Andrew, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
Hey.
I'll just finish answering this map question, and then if you've got some questions, we'll ask you live. In the meantime, do you mind if you could just mute your mic? Thanks a lot. All right, so back to the question. Right now, map activity does have a few limitations, and we've had quite a lot of feedback from developers that says, hey, we'd like to be able to use maps and fragments. We don't have a solution for that at the moment, but what you can do in the meanwhile is pretty much use either map activities or use web views. Let me tell you where they differ. So the Google Maps Android API that you're referring to is what I mean when I say map activity. And yes, it's got a somewhat limited feature set. You know, the JavaScript API has added a whole bunch of new capabilities that are not yet available in the map activity. So it depends really what you want to do with your app. If your app is the type of app that is able to work well with a map activity, I would say use that because it's rendered natively. It gives you the most speed and performance in your app. If you're looking to do some of the more advanced things with it, with a map, you'll notice that the JavaScript API v3 actually has a lot of capabilities in there. So you know, if you need those advanced capabilities or those newer capabilities, use the web view. And finally, if you're just using in your app, you're just using maps to sort of redirect users to a particular business or a particular location, what you can do is finally you can use the intent, and it will take you there. So it really it's a little bit of a trade-off at the moment. You're absolutely right. We don't have you know, fragment support in there yet, and we don't have some of the newer capabilities. It's something that we do give feedback to the engineering team, so it's good to hear that people are doing it. It's something that we will look to prioritize as best we can. So unfortunately, not a single answer that says, hey, this is what you should always do. Have a look at what your needs are and use the right API accordingly. So thanks, Boom. We have a couple of people that have joined us. Andrew was the first one that joined us. So, Andrew, did you have any questions for us? Actually, you're muted. Still muted. The facial expressions are priceless, though. Well, until Andrew works out his microphone, we'll let's shift to someone else. We have Emra on the line as well. Hi, Emra. Wow, I can't hear Emra either. Tony, hello? Are you able to hear?
Just now.
I'm just following now.
Oh, okay. All right. So, all right. Well, that's fine. Andrew, is your microphone up yet? No. If you give us a thumbs up if you've got a question, or you're just tuning in, just sort of being passive. Thumbs down. All right, no problems. We have Carl joining us as well, and he's just dropped out. So what we might do is, in the meanwhile, take another question from the moderator thread. Tony, do you want to grab this one from, I think it's Mia from Taiwan?
Yeah, sure. So the question was, I saw Android developers share circles for Android development, like Android developers, Paris Android user group, etc. Is there any circle from APAC area? Any place I could find out this information? I guess the answer to this question is really because all the circles are created by these particular groups, and it's really open to all this community. I think the best way to find out whether there's an existing group for the APAC area is to reach out to these user groups and see whether they have create one, and if not, you may want to encourage them to create one. Probably that's the best way to do to find out the information.
Yeah, I might just add that a lot of these Google developer communities, so typically we have two types of, or two names that are given to these communities. One is a Google developer group, which is GDG, and often they cover more than just Android. So we have Google has a number of technologies, and those communities are interested in all of them.
Yeah, by the way, it was originally called GTU GGTUG. So a lot of developers may not get used to the new branding. Right,
yeah, Google. So that was Google Technology User Group. That was the old brand. It used to be called GTUG, or Google Technology User Group. Recently been changed to Google Developer Groups, GDGs. So have a look to see if there are any in your area. According to your post, you're from Taiwan, so there could be some communities there. The other type of community that you find, they tend to call themselves Android user groups or Android developer groups, and they also exist, and they typically are kind of like a subset of the GTUGs or the GDGs, in that they specialize purely on Android. So these are like-minded people that are really interested in Android development. So what I would suggest is do a search on Google+, because often many of these communities have Google+ pages. And failing that, do a search on Google itself. I know that the communities in Sydney and in Melbourne use Meetup.com to organize their events. So again, your local community may use a site like Meetup or something else to meet up.
So just to add to that, not sure which region are you from from Taiwan, but definitely there are two very active GDG. One's in Taipei, and another one is in Kaohsiung.
Yeah, great. All right, thanks, Tony. All right, we have another question from Owen Cassidy in Sydney. Is there a way to harness the two-finger gesture to expand notifications in other areas? For example, to expand a relative layout to reveal more information. So the two-finger gesture notification is something that we added as part of the rich notification feature in Jelly Bean. And basically what it does is that you kind of, on your device, it allows you to get a notification, use two fingers, you sort of swipe down and it expands that notification, or you can use two fingers to swipe up to shrink that notification. That's something that we've added especially for notifications. In relative layouts, that behavior is not the default behavior. You can, of course, capture those touch events and react to them, but it is code that you will have to build yourself. It is certainly not something that's provided out of the box. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like that could be a usage pattern that might become more popular, but you'll need to build it yourself. All right, we have another question from someone called Nail. I apologize if I've mispronounced your name, from San Jose. Can Google Cloud Messaging API be used with Google TV much like Google Music, but for media or personal content? So I'm a little bit unclear about this particular question. Tony, do you understand what the person's asking?
Not really. So yeah. So my guess is Google Cloud Messaging can be used for TV devices, maybe, because right now most of the use case I heard is mainly for mobile phones, and so I'm really not sure.
Yeah, if it's purely about Google Cloud Messaging to use on Google TV, I think at the moment that's not there. It may be coming in the future, but yeah, it's as Tony said, typically phones and tablets, devices that are on standby or have some ongoing connectivity. So yeah. All right. Well, we didn't actually have that many questions this week, unfortunately, because
So Anchor, there is actually one more question in the chat window. Akash Wamani asked a question: why is creating an NFC toggle switch widget not allowed in ICS Jelly Bean?
So the answer is I would probably say I'm not 100% sure, but I think it would probably have to do something around security. It's something that users would probably want to have the ability to turn on and off without apps doing it for you. That would be my my educated guess. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the API lately, but is it Akash? Is it because there's no API calls available for disable that? Yeah.
There are no APIs. Okay, yeah. So we just basically haven't exposed it. That could be for a number of reasons. We haven't got to it, or we want to make sure it's secure, that sort of thing. So, yeah. I mean, usually when there's no APIs around there, it's sometimes for a good reason, sometimes because we haven't got to it yet. So I don't know the definitive answer, but yeah, that's the state of it at the moment. Do you think we can expect it? We get these sorts of questions all the time. When can we expect that? Are you guys going to do this or that? And in general, we can't talk about what we're going to do in the future because these things can change. And if we commit to something, then it could and we end up changing our approach. It makes us look silly. So I can't really say whether you can expect it or not. All right, we had Rosa join on the Hangout. Rosa, have you any questions for us? Okay, we can't hear Rosa. Rosa, if you do have questions for us, please just let us know in the chat. Emra does have a question. He's posted it on the chat. I have one question, if it's related. He's talking about UK courts and Apple. I mean, if it's something outside of development, it's something we can't talk about. And certainly anything that's related to legal side of things, neither Tony or I are lawyers, so we wouldn't be able to give you any reasonable answer anyway. We'd just be making it up. So we'd prefer not to. We do have another question on the moderator, however. So Tony, do you want to grab it?
Let me take a look. So are there any plans to incorporate access to Google Now cards, either third-party apps, pulling data from them and making their own cards available? Ideally, there would be an approval process to prevent apps from spamming. So I think right now Google Now cards are on. We don't have an API for that at the moment. So as Anchor mentioned before, like we don't pre-announce like a roadmap. So I guess it's really like stay tuned, and we heard a lot of feedbacks from developer. They would like to get a hands on accessing like having some sort of API for Google Now cards, and we definitely take that as a feedback. Thanks.
Yeah, seems like, Tony, we need to invest in a time machine. It would be great to be able to answer some of these questions about what's going to happen in the future. Anyways, so if there are, let me check the thread, see whether there are any other questions. Certainly now is the time to ask any questions. But it doesn't look like we have anything at the moment. So what we're going to do is something that we haven't done on this Hangout before. We've got something special for you that Tony's been working on. We've done a developer interview with a prominent developer in Hong Kong called Animoca. And Tony, do you want to just intro it? We're going to then show the video.
Yeah, sure. So I spent a morning with Animoca with a couple did their CTO and tech leads over there. They talk about how they do testing and also like showing some of their games and devices they use for testing, and it's really cool. And by the way, we love to get more interviews with all you guys, all developers, and if you are interested, and if you are in one of our regions, like if you're in Hong Kong, in Sydney, we can even like explore ideas like having a remote interview in the future if we have all the equipment. So let's take a look at the video. Anchor, are you playing that?
Yeah, I will. Just let me get it set up. So we're going to use the YouTube app that's there on the Hangouts.
Yeah.
And
just give us a minute.
Just give us a
second.
Minute. And it looks like it doesn't want to play. That's interesting. Tony, could you try firing it up?
Sure. Let me try.
I'm sure the people on the stream aren't going to believe us, but we tested it beforehand and it worked, right?
Yeah.
So Moore's law is definitely coming in.
Okay, let me try over here.
So Emra is in the meanwhile asking a question. What about devices? Are they related to us? I'm not sure what the actual question is, Emra. So maybe if you just ask us the question, we can let you know if it's something that we have an answer for.
I have the link loaded.
Okay. Just before we start that, let's. Emra just said the Nexus 7 is not available in Europe. So I'm guessing you want to know about availability. Just give us a yes or a no. Yep, he wants to know about availability. That's actually something we don't even have the answer to. That's, you know, because we're part of developer relations, we're very focused on the APIs and the platform. When it comes to the consumer side of things, you know, you guys are often are more aware of what's happening than we can be at times. So sorry, we don't actually know. All right, Tony, do you want to?
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, the video is flashed out of the studio, so we are going to re-upload the video to another more permanent account. So don't share this one. We will reshare this in our plus Android Developer Plus page later. So just watch this one for now.
All right, take it away. These awkward pauses. Is it playing on your end, Tony? Because we don't see it.
It's actually playing already. So let me.
That's a shame because it was working really well beforehand. Oh, it works for you. So, Akash, are you seeing the video?
Oh, okay. So let me.
Well. Tony, what I think we'll do, because I certainly can't see it on my side, and Emra isn't able to see it. Let's post the link separately. We'll upload it to the right account, and we'll post it separately. we had hoped that we would do it during the Hangout so that we could have shown you guys the video and then had some follow-up questions. So what we might do is just postpone it. These technical difficulties are unfortunate, but they happen from time to time. So yeah, apologies for that. We'll get to it.
Emma can see. Emma can see that now too. So, but
let's just do it separately and let's sort it out and see what happens. So Akash and Emra, do you guys have any follow-up questions in the meanwhile?
Hey, Anko, you saw that? Actually, it's pretty cool. Emra can start the video as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Next time without the technical difficulties, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll sort it out.
If that's all there is, then thanks everyone for your time. We'll be back the same time next week. This time I will put the moderator link up sooner. I'll have it up by the end of the day, so you guys get more of an opportunity to send it out. The other thing before we go, I just wanted to mention is that today, for the first time, we used the Google Plus events to organize the Hangout. Let us know what you thought of that. Was that useful? Is that the way you prefer us to work? It was nice for us to be able to see who was going to join beforehand and so on. So we're still experimenting with this, and we'd love to hear what your experience is like. Akash seems to be a huge fan, so that's good. All right, well, with that being said, we'll sign off for this week, and we will catch you same time next week. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.